Come, madam, come, all rest my powers defy. Until I labour, I in labour lie. The foe, oft times having the foe in sight, is tired with standing, though he never fight. Off with that girdle, like heaven's zone glistering, but a far fairer world encompassing.
A girdle is the first piece of clothing or accessory mentioned in the poem that has to be removed for the lady to undress.
Unpin that spangled breastplate which you wear, that the eyes of busy fools may be stopped there.
The next instruction given is for Our Lady to unpin her spangled breastplate. What he's talking about is what we would call a stomacher. The way that she's unfastening this item of clothing is with pins. Unpin, and what she would have done is have the stomacher secured to the sides of the gown over her stays. Here we have some surviving pins, this one here being what might be recorded in Queen Elizabeth I's accounts as a great farthingale pin. A stomacher was an accessory that could really change the look of an outfit, and in fact just simply by exchanging one like this with something like this cut and uncut silk velvet one would transform an outfit.
Unlace yourself, for that harmonious chime tells me from you that now it is bedtime.
Is the lace up her bodies? We're assuming that this lady has bodies that open at the front because he's saying unlace yourself. He's not talking about unlacing it for her. And here you can see we've got a lovely blue lace with matching worked silk eyelet holes. And these could take various forms. One of them is what we'd call a point. And this is a length of string or ribbon with two metal ends here, rather like a modern shoelace. And the harmonious chime that he mentions, this could refer to the clock chiming midnight, but also to the chink of these ends as she undoes some laces.
Off with that happy busk, which I envy, that still can be and still can stand so nigh.
Then he makes a suggestive comment about the fact that a busk was something that was a very stiff piece of either bone or ivory, whalebone, baleen, wood of various sorts, but something that could hold the front of the lady's clothing in quite a straight line.
Your gown going off, such beauteous state reveals, as when from flowery meads the hill's shadow steals.
Your gown going off, that with it her bodies come off and her underpinnings and petticoat all comes off together, and possibly her ruff attached to the back of the gown. After this, we have her standing there in her linen smock.
Off with that wiry coronet, and show the hairy diadem which on you doth grow.
When our male character comes into the room, he's wearing a hat, and on her head we're told she's wearing a wiry coronet, a very dainty, delicate, in this case jewelled item, possibly made by women working with wire, making things like the ruff support and these head ties.
Off with those shoes, and then safely tread in this love's hallowed temple, this soft bed.
He just speeds things up here, I think, in sort of saying off with your shoes, but obviously she's going to have a pair of stockings underneath, and in our case, a pair of silk knitted stockings with an embroidered motif of an acorn. And here we have the pair of silk garters that she wears around the stockings, above the knee in our case, wrapped round 3 times and tied in a bow.
Oh. In such white robes, heaven's angels used to be received by men. Thou, angel, bringst with thee a heaven like Mahmed's paradise. And though ill spirits walk in white, we easily know by this these angels from an evil sprite. Those set our hairs on end, but these our flesh upright.
So once Our Lady is simply wearing her white linen smock, we hear from the poet references to first angels in white robes, and then he mentions Muhammad's paradise, reminding us that in the world of Islam, white is an important colour for clothing. And then he moves on to ill spirits walking abroad. And this brings in the subject of the fact that people wore linen from when they were first born, little babies wrapped in linen swaddling clothes, right through to when they died, when the English were buried traditionally in this period in a linen sheet. Like if you died in bed, it makes sense to wrap somebody in their bed sheet. And these linen winding sheets, so the body was wrapped or the sheet was wound around them and a knot tied at each end, and then perhaps the middle stitched up, so you were encased in linen as you were put into the ground or your coffin. And in fact, John Donne himself commissioned this beautiful sculpture of himself standing in his winding sheet, and that survives in St Paul's Cathedral.
License my roving hands and let them go behind, before, above, between, below. Oh, my America, my new-found land, my kingdom safeliest when with one man manned, my mine of precious stones, my empery, how blessed am I in this discovering thee. To enter in these bonds is to be free. Then where my hand is set, my seal shall be. Ah, full nakedness. All joys are due to thee, as souls unbodied, bodies unclothed must be to taste whole joys. Gems, which you women use, are like Atlanta's balls cast in men's views, that when a fool's eye lighteth on a gem, his earthly soul may covet theirs, not them. Like pictures or like books, gay coverings made for laymen, are all women thus arrayed. Themselves are mystic books, which only we, whom their imputed grace will dignify, must see revealed. Then, since that I may know, as liberally as to a midwife, show thyself, cast all, yea, this white linen hence. There is no penance due to innocence. To teach thee, I am naked first. Why then, what needst thou have more covering than a man?